And now we have our panel discussion. Before we start, have you ever thought about the importance of organizational culture, mission, vision, and values in light of the future of food that is being shaped today by visionary entrepreneurs? Today, this topic is going to be discussed by three panelists and our moderator. So please help me welcome Debbie Yaver, Vice President of Research and Development at Nature's Fynd, Aryé Elfebein, co-founder and chief scientific officer at Wild Type Foods, and again, Aaron Schaller, co-founder and chief scientific officer at MeliBio. Our moderator today is Luis Angel Fernandez, biochemist, vice president of strategic development flavors at Maine. So, guys, thank you for taking the time for joining us here today. And Luis, please take it from here.
All right. Thank you so much, Anna. It's a pleasure to be here with the panelists. So Aaron, a great keynote speaker, fantastic. You share already what is the culture that you see in MeliBio. I saw some open position there, so let's elaborate a little bit further for the attendance to this career fair that they can understand what kind of profile you are searching. But just to complete the space, maybe Aryé, you can share with us what is your company culture?
Yeah, it's a great question. What's interesting about a mission like ours at Wild Type, where we create seafood using cells outside of the animal, and the other companies here is I think this type of mission really encompasses a wide variety of different interests. So some people are interested in this because they love the scientific challenge. Some people are interested because they're really believe that we should improve when it comes to animal rights. Some people think that for ecology and the environment, these are the types of things that this is a way to actually have a meaningful impact in the future. Some people are interested in the economic opportunities. Some people care about the food security aspects. There's so many different sort of individual missions that I think fall under the umbrella of these emerging technologies, and this is I think what unites us more than a particular one like thing where I don't think any of the companies here would probably also say that there's just sort of like one type of person that works there. It's a real diversity of missions and ideas that brings people together for this.
Okay, and if you have to just briefly say why one high talent, someone that is fitting well with your profile, should be joining your organization, Wild Type Food, and not other. What will be what you will provide to a new talent to join your company?
I'd say it's a culture that really rewards curiosity. And one where sort of taking scientific risks or trying to innovate beyond what we imagine that we can do is one that's really valued. Actually, discovery is one of our core values, and it's something that has just been this really energizing and galvanizing force, I think, as we've sort of moved forward from where we began in 2016.
Yeah, great. Reward curiosity. We will discuss in a minute what is the way to recognize success of this new talent. But let's also welcome Debbie to the panel discussion. And I would like to ask Debbie exactly the same. What is the culture that you see in Nature Fynd?
Okay, good morning, and thank you to ProteinX for inviting me to participate. And you're going to hear, I think, some of the same sort of words and themes that Aaron and Aryé have stated are probably pretty similar to what you'll hear from me as far as Nature's Fynd. So our mission is really to create amazing foods, right, that nourish people and nourish the planet. Culture-wise, I would say some of the most important qualities I say are that we're driven by curiosity and we're optimistic by nature, right? We're doing something that hasn't been done before, right? So you have to, the culture is such, that we know it's challenging, but we believe it can be done. So some of the cultural aspects are bravely challenging convention, right? Doing things differently, being innovative, when there's new challenges that arise. I mentioned curiosity, leaving it better than you found it. So that's not just, the sustainability aspect, but also, being kind, offering encouragement, right, to your colleagues, and providing, right, challenges also to think differently, right, so we can meet, our lofty goals, if you want to say. And also diversity. Diversity is really important, right? Given our ambitious goals, right? There's no doubt that having diversity of people, diversity of thought, and such is going to help us achieve that.
That's absolutely very important. Thank you, David, for highlighting diversity, because we don't want to create the image that we are trying to get a kind of copycat of a profile that will be in every case the same, no? But curiosity, optimistic approach, really believe on the values that you are providing when you create these alternative food that are more sustainable, animal protection, and so on. This is important as well, that basic kind of agreement. But this is the recruitment, no? You have the recruitment, so you say reward curiosity. So Aaron, once you have the right talent in front of you, and then you show some open position, what will be the way that you will retain that talent? Because that talent will come to the company because they believe on all these values, integrity that you share in the keynote, and also the promise that reward curiosity. How you will keep that person for a long run in the company?
What a great question. Thank you. It's amazing how many companies there are. So retaining talent amongst such a huge pool of great companies is a challenge. But at the same time, it's great that that folks graduating right now or changing careers have such a great selection to choose from. I would say, rewarding curiosity kind of goes a step further. How do you do that? And I think it's by giving everyone a voice and an opportunity to share their ideas. In more traditional corporate systems, perhaps you would be discouraged from sharing your ideas if you weren't a manager or senior scientist or senior person at the company. But we really want to encourage that. The coolest idea can come from almost anywhere, and we're all pursuing crazy ideas. The first thing I told Darko when he said, "What do you think of honey without bees?" was, "You're crazy. That sounds awesome. Let's do it." So for people just starting at the company, we want to give them a space at the table to really express their ideas and be able to share that. So I think that'll be encouraging. Also, I mentioned support. So, supporting people's career growth, not keeping them siloed, like we're going to keep you here forever. We want you to grow yourself, develop your intellectual curiosity, develop your skill set. We want to encourage you to seek trainings if you want, seek new skills. So I think by supporting employees, you really encourage them to, be themselves, and then pursue education and career development that ultimately keep them interested in staying at the company.
No, that's great. Great the way that you approach, because it's not only recruiting the right talent, it's also retaining them through development as well. Really seeing that they're making progress every time. No, going to Aryé, if you had to say, this recruitment seems to be all for the millennial, new talent, young entrepreneurial, these people coming out of the university right now. Tell me, I will be provocative on that. What is, Debbie talk about diversity. Tell me about age. How is the way as you see age in this diversity recruitment profile?
That's such a great question. I think that often when we think about diversity, it usually in our mind sort of evokes a bunch of characteristics that doesn't always encompass age. this is something that we've, from the very beginning, been very cognizant about, just, recognizing where there might be biases for age, and where, a more diverse team really benefits from a diversity in age as well. In general, I think that, being principled about the recruitment process, in other words, recognizing accomplishments and experience and valuing all of those appropriately are really the way that we can overcome a lot of the implicit biases that we sometimes have. I think that in the US in particular, the culture is one that is more encompassing of diversity than what I've experienced in other countries I've lived in, for example. And this is something that at Wildtype we've really just made such an active effort to encompass as well in terms of just every aspect of our recruitment process. I think that diversity does mean many different things, and it's been one of the most fulfilling aspects of building a team with the rest of the company to recognize how much all of our differences can inform each other, can be just a fulfilling experience, and age is a huge part of that. I think that it's just I think it starts from the very beginning, and again, just sort of being principled about the way that we recognize what our biases might be.
So age is part of the diversity profile. Some of the most senior experienced people can also be mentoring and coaching the new talent, no? Very good, well done. So Debbie, can you share with us what will be the non-negotiable? I mean, we say curiosity, optimistic, a lot of good skills that you want to see in this profile. We also say diversities. That means that you will accept that talent one can be different skill than talent two, but what will not be acceptable in your company culture, that whatever can be that diversity, you will not be able to accept?
Yeah, so I would say, besides what I shared, I think one thing that is really critical is that the individuals that come are data-driven, right? We need to make, decisions when we're facing big challenges, right? And we want to rely on data. People need to be passionate. They need to be willing to accept big challenges, right? Oftentimes, right, the goals and targets we're setting, there might be many people that look at it and say, that's impossible. We want people who look at it and say, okay, how are we going to get there? And it may mean not doing things, well, it will mean not doing things iteratively, but willing to do things in parallel, right? To take parallel approaches to try to meet a goal. The last thing that would be non-negotiable, I would say, is that the people we hire have to be team players and collaborative. Almost all of our goals and challenges, the only way we're going to reach them is by people working together, right, as a team, and sharing in the success as a team, not focused on their own success, but on team success.
Right. No star, no divo. You want to have team players that can really share and collaborate. So I will take that piece. That is non-negotiable. This is not the kind of diversity that you want to have in the team, correct?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Well said. So Aaron, what would be from your point of view, the non-negotiable?
Yeah, I was going to go along with similar non-negotiables listed by Debbie, but I'll also say that having a closed mind, either to those around you or to ideas, is really a non-negotiable, because you have to come into this space with an open mind, a curiosity driven by passion as well. So passion is also something that we really will seek for in our early company to really help drive that culture as well. But coming in with a closed mind and not willing to listen to your peers, whether or not they're considered to be your managers or someone working technically under you. Everyone should have a voice, and it should be a team effort, as Debbie mentioned. You can't come into this space trying to make change as kind of just an individual that doesn't collaborate with others. It's really collaborative, and really leave your ego at the door is what I would say.
Okay, so people who are close-minded and non-passionate and not able to listen to others, that is something that you don't want to have in the diversity space, no? It's the
Yeah,
non-negotiable.
listening is key. Big proponent of active listening as a
Yeah,
kind of
and everything that we were saying so far, no, by David, team player, collaborative, being able to share what you said, close-minded, passion, listening to others, you can teach and help people to learn, but it's more difficult, no? You expect that this will be already coming with the talent, no? So clear. Aryé, from your side, what will be the non-negotiable?
Yeah, I mean, our non-negotiable usually is one that's very similar. It's just not being a jerk, right? And sort of what's interesting though is that I think in the recruitment process, this is often something that can be kind of difficult to detect, right? Everyone's on great behavior when they're interviewing, and so this is something that within the company we've talked a lot about in terms of what kinds of behavioral questions we can ask to really sort of understand how somebody not only processes information, how bright they might be, and so forth, but how do they incorporate or how do they listen to feedback from others? How do they think about the words of others? Is it just kind of in the way that preschoolers will sort of like have conversations where each one knows that it's their turn to talk, but they're not actually listening, like like Aaron was describing, or is this the type of person who can even accept difficult feedback as a gift, and understand that we're all just trying to make this company a better place, and this is maybe a different and much more difficult conversation, but how do you really get to that within an hour or two of an interview, within a presentation? It's really that's I would say our one non-negotiable, more than anything else, because it's the one thing. It really just takes one person to absolutely bring down the morale of everyone around them. It's always just just one person's complaining, one person being difficult, that just super quickly just can drain the positive energy out of a room. And it's something that's difficult, honestly, to look for and to identify, and to within the sort of short periods of time we often have when we're recruiting.
That's great. So not being a shark, I learned that one. Listen to feedback and also accept and be open to difficult feedback. And for the one attending this discussion, it does mean that there is a kind of blacklist of condition that if you don't qualify, I mean, just listen that this is what the industry is expecting, and everything can be learned, everything can change behavior, everything can get and understand what is passionating more, and being open to listen to others is everything can be possible to be learned. I always say also for me, from my recruitment process, is integrity very important. People with courage and steward, what we say, conviction, no? That really believe and be able to be clear and really speak the value, no, that they believe, and also that you can trust, no, because vulnerability to me is very important. Some and it's not depending on the age. People want to do the best, but recognizing that we are not perfect, that we made a mistake, and we want to learn and do that better next time is very important. So people that you can trust and will tell you always the truth, no? So thank you for this. I think that was nice to have that discussion. let's talk a little bit about recognition. So we say a lot about the what you expect, what are the behavior, and we will discuss a bit later on the hard skill, not what you expect from the university program or education academic background that these people will bring, especially in the science space. But if you have to recognize a big kind of accomplishment of one of these recruitment that is qualifying with everything that we just discussed, what will be the way to do? And I will be provocative. You will just put a check with a kind of amount of money to say, oh, now you have that amount of dollar or euros or whatever in your pocket, in your bank account, or will be something else? What is this profile that will qualify with your company culture? Will be happy to be recognized? Will be in a private? Will be in a public? What will be the way to recognize these people? So starting with Aaron.
That's an interesting question. I think that it depends on the type of person as well, whether or not they're a very extroverted type person or somewhat more like myself, an introverted scientist. But, I think in disregard to a raise, which will happen a long time and be an easy way to recognize people for their efforts and contributions. I think that giving them a chance to represent the company in various ways is really important. So, for example, if someone is leading a project and it's going really well, I would have them perhaps present at a conference or represent MeliBio. Of course, pay for that conference, maybe go to TEDx or TED conference, something like that, if it is valuable to them. I think one of the main ways to see recognition for your product or your efforts in a food company is your product on the shelf, or the recognition that this team or these folks really led this product from formulation to production to now being in Michelin star restaurants across the country. I mean, that's super cool, and really just seeing it. It's not my accomplishment. It's the accomplishment of the bigger team. So I think giving recognition in that way is really important.
Okay, very good ideas. Aaron, thank you. Debbie, from your side?
Yeah, so I'll just start by saying, similar to what Aaron said, it really depends on the individual, right? There's some individuals who clearly like to be recognized more in a group. They're that is where they get their energy, and then others, right, who don't like to be pointed out in a group. So I would say recognition for us, I mean, it can be anything from in an all hands meeting that happens monthly, right? Recognizing a team or an individual, right, that has delivered on a challenge. It could also be in private, right? Having the members of the senior leadership team, right, just go up to people and thank them, right? Those that have just delivered something, a challenge. It could also be within a team, going to a team meeting, right, and thanking individuals that way. Of course, there's monetary, right, sort of recognition.
Nothing bad to recognize with money as well.
Right? Which is also important. But, money, I think that sort of recognition also only goes so far. I think the best recognition for most people is that, the recognition, of a thank you, right, for delivering something and recognizing a job well done. And then that leading to giving that team or individuals a new challenge, right? Something to help them develop, continue to grow, giving them a new challenge and recognition for what they've done so far.
Yeah, very good, Debbie. I think I fully agree. And money is not only a check; it can be also having a day off or having a dinner, right, to go with their partner to have a lovely time. So there are many different ways also to be tangible in a kind of material recognition there. But it's important what you said about, and Aaron said the same about the culture, because the individual, but also some culture are much more kind of public oriented on the recognition, and the winner is, and the trophies coming. Another prefer to be recognized in a private way. No? So, Aryé, from your side.
Yeah, I think recognition is most meaningful and most impactful when it happens on a very small scale very regularly. And there's a startup I know of that they have a ritual where they have this really, really huge, ugly stuffed bear, and every week this is passed on from person who received it to the next person for something that they did that week. Like it can be a big discovery, or it can be a little things like this person cleaned up after our event, and that was so nice, and you get the stuff. But there's this passing on. There's this sense of seeing and recognizing the person that is so much more impactful. We've had little things where somebody had a few scientists would have a successful run of some of our cells, for example, and we would just get a whole bunch of balloons and like make it into a whole thing, and these are the kinds of memories and recognition, rather than like, oh, I got another raise, which is great, but I think that when you're talking about building culture and actually seeing people and recognizing this is, I think it's an expression of joy for working with them, for them being there with you, like for all of this time that we spend at these startups, and it's that kind of recognition. It's an appreciation for on a human level, rather than like, you've just helped us, get to our milestones, and guess what? Next quarter we've got some more milestones that are more difficult. I think it's that kind of day to day, and one way that we do it is a little thing is just a praise channel on Slack, and it can be everything from like, wow, praise for this again, like amazing discovery, or just just something little like whatever it is, just something that's unrelated and almost joking.
Yeah, great.
Recognition
You say something, Aryé, that I really like it, is regularly. So it can continue. So recognition is not one event in a year. The innovation winner is, no, it has to be in a continuous basis. As also the feedback that can be a little bit more harder to listen when something didn't go well. There is always something that went well, but do that very quickly. Kind of people really appreciate when you can really express what worked very well and what can be improved next time. So feedback is also a way to recognize, but do that in a regular basis, not in one event in a year. No. So
yeah.
thinking about the hard skills, no, you are having people with profile. We were talking a lot about behavior, expected or not expected. What about the hard science? What is the type of education that you need in your company that you are expecting to have from the university program? Starting maybe with Debbie.
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, it's fairly broad, right? I mean, if you look even at our current employees or the open positions we have, right? I mean, the sort of hard skills and science skills, right, span everything, right, from microbiology to molecular biology, food science, product development, right, engineering, automation, right? So it's a fairly broad range, I would say. I think the important aspect, and I think I mentioned it earlier, right, is a focus on data, data driven, right, collecting knowledge, right, so we don't repeat the same mistakes, right, again and again. We're learning from our mistakes. So I would say it's fairly broad what we're looking for, and of course, right, some sort of experience outside of the university, right, in a company setting, in particular, right, at least folks that are willing and are brave enough, right, to join a startup, want to be part of, something that is with a very ambitious, right, goal and mission and vision, and are willing to pitch in, can multitask, wear multiple hats sometimes, are sort of the important things.
Okay, and I understand the microbiology and molecular biology, everything that is related in your company profile that I know quite well. The use of artificial intelligence or machine learning is now seems to be quite needed. These kind of people coming to your company, some people say that the T, they are like more on the horizontal T, part of the T, that they like to jump from one topic to another one. And it's difficult to have the vertical part of the T, that they can be deep microbiologists, someone that will be the best expert in the world in that area, and they can be traveling around the world teaching other as well. How could you really having this competence coming from the university that you are expecting, like microbiology, how you make sure that they will keep doing microbiology a lot of period in their lives to become a really true expert?
Oops. Yeah, that's a good question. And I think that gets back to the diversity, right, topic we had before. I mean, I think for a company to be successful, as you said, you have to have, some of your folks, right, who are very, deep, right, into their expertise, and continue, right, to develop that, and to become, an expert that's, not just internally, but, externally is recognized. But you also need to have some folks, right, that are, I would say, flexible, right, and willing to not just, focus deeply on their expertise, but also learn some other things, right,
Okay.
so they can help out. So, I mean, it gets to diversity, right? You need those folks that, some that are very deeply, right, as you said, an expert in their area. And you also need some folks, right, that I would say are, I don't want to say jack of all trades, right? But they also
More than,
have
yeah,
some knowledge outside of their own area.
okay.
So,
Some people say that the new generation, because they are zapping, they are moving very quickly from one topic to another. They Google everything. Everything has to be fast and very quick. And right now, it's more difficult to generate this kind of deep insight. So I think it's a challenge for leaders to how do we handle this kind of motivation to keep working hard in one science and keep motivating them. No? Very good. Thank you, David. Aryé, from your side? Hard science. What is the topic from university that you are looking for in your company?
What's been fascinating through this journey is how I think that these fields have actually brought together groups of scientists and engineers and people, outside of science and engineering that have never worked together before. In our case, it's cell biologists with tissue engineers, with process engineers, with food scientists, with other people from the culinary world, and this is just this really like fascinating group of people who have not in the same way worked together previously, and what this leads to, I think, is people, when they join companies like ours, they bring all of that experience, but will often actually very quickly will learn so much about other fields that are related and relevant, and end up doing work that they would never have imagined that this is what they would have started out doing. I mean, for me, I went to 4 years of medical school and 6 years of training as a cardiologist to grow meat in a fermenter. This is something that's one example, and I think everybody at Wildtype just has a story like this, where they sort of started with one field of focus, or what was most interesting, and what's interesting is I think we become deep in certain disciplines, but they're not ones that are just kind of like, this is our, microbiology. For example, people at Wildtype, I think, are very deep on how to culture fish cells at a large scale, which is something that they had never learned before. That was not part of their background. That is not, something that they would have put on their CV. It's not, like a PhD in growing fish cells at large scale. But these are the kinds of depths that we sort of acquire as we grow as a company and as people develop professionally.
Right. I like, Aryé, the way that you handle this cell biology PhD together with a chef, culinary expert one, and everyone count, no, with their own expertise. Everybody counts, even the one who is cleaning the pilot plant. But in science, it's important that all type of science are critically needed, no, the diversity and respect. Well done.
Right.
Thank you. Aaron, to finish from your side?
Yeah, great input so far. For me, I've always been the type that jumps around a little bit. Although I did do a PhD in a specific area, but being an expert generalist, I think, is something that I really value for myself and also in other people. But definitely, as Debbie mentioned, also we need those specialists that are really like an analytical chemist, for example. We're going to want to hire someone with that expertise next year at some point. And they really need to have a really deep knowledge of that area, looking at something like honey and other products. But I think what the key is that folks may jump around on the top of that T a little bit initially, but they just need to find what they're really passionate about, and that will drive them to learn it on a really deep level. And so kind of finding those people in the interview process, like what are you passionate about? Why are you passionate about this? And how are you going to deepen your knowledge in that area? It doesn't necessarily matter as much what you know now, but if you have a real drive to learn that subject on a deep level, that's really something that we pay attention to. And I think also, valuing that diversity as well, people that can have some depth, but also think about how that area of the company or their project fits into kind of the bigger years or the workings of the company to make it work is really important.
Very good. And I understand the business related to Debbie, that is mycoprotein, the technical area from Aryé is cell lines that they are cultivating to generate this fish material without having a kind of animal living in the tank or in the wild area. In your case, the honey known from the bees. What is fermentation? I understand is part of the process, but what is the botanical source that you use?
Yes. We use many botanical sources.
Many, okay.
Which I can't reveal
Oh,
completely.
you don't reveal, okay.
But to answer kind of the question of the expertise we're looking for, is that we are developing microbes to produce the honey in fermenters or bioreactors. Okay. So looking for folks with lots of microbiology experience, but there's also a huge area of research to be done in flavor development and the chemistry involved in the flavor and aromas of various honeys from around the world, because we really want to deeply understand those products. And so we'll want people really interested in the culinary aspects as well, and with a deep understanding of food and food science.
So you feed the microorganisms to produce the honey analog, not a kind of material botanical that will be hydrolyzed to convert in honey. Is really feeding the microorganism, no?
Correct.
Yes. Okay, good, clear. So I think that we are getting to the end. We have 5 minutes or 4 to finish. What will be the 1 minute pitch before leaving, starting with Debbie? You have now the career fair, you have the potential employees of your company. So what will be your 1 minute pitch?
Yeah, so my 1 minute pitch is that, if you are, right, a scientist, right, that is, curious, optimistic, wants to join well, right now we're about 150 people and we're growing rapidly, wants to join a team, right, with the mission of creating amazing food, right, that nourishes people and nourishes the planet at the same time, come join us. Right. We have a number of open positions. So check out our website and information.
That was a loving message. Thank you, David. Aryé, from your side, the 1 minute pitch.
Yeah, I mean, our mission is an audacious one. I think that with every day that goes by, we understand that there are fewer and fewer fish in the ocean, that the ecology is becoming more irreversibly changed. And if you have a sense of urgency around this, if you feel like there's this is something that you care about but aren't sure how to address this, this is the kind of thing that gets people excited to come and work at Wildtype. And if you are excited to join what I would say is just the most wonderful, energetic, smart, talented, and just hilarious group of people I've ever worked with, and all of us I think have ever worked with, then please come join us at WildType.
How many people do you have today in the company?
We're at 31 today.
31. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Aryé. Aaron?
31. Hopefully we'll be there before too long. That's amazing. So if you want to come to a company at very early stages and grow with the company to 30 plus people, we welcome you. Of course, people that are passionate, that are foodies, that really enjoy food, really enjoy high quality ingredients, enjoy the challenge and problem solving aspects of what we're all trying to accomplish, but also have an eye on the broader impact, of course, of what we're doing, which is increasing planetary health while still providing delightful and delicious moments to people, and really promoting biodiversity to promote the health of the planet. I think that that's something really at the core of what we're doing. And if you love bees and honey, all the better. We welcome you.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. How many people? I missed that. How many people do you have today?
We have a full team of 8, but most are
8.
contractors. Okay. Yes.
No, great. I mean, guys, it was really a pleasure to talk to you today. We are getting to the end of our session. I think it was amazing how much we connect together. Clearly, people who will be joining your company as the one that you have today, whatever the number might be, are people who are not afraid to go to something that is totally new, because when you go to very well established companies that are more traditional way to produce food, they know what is expected there. But in your company, these courageous people that you will be recruiting, I mean, they will enjoy being part of the team, and with the company culture that you share, I'm sure that you will have better people and feeding more the team that you have today every time. So the attendance to the career fair, I think that they have already an opinion. I see a lot of love, like heart and hands that are there to connect with you and continue this exchange. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, everyone. I just wanted, we have one question from the audience that came here, just let me share. And the question is, how are you connecting with universities to get in front of the future talent pool, considering the competitive employee market? So if any of you want to start, to answer this one, just before we finish.
Sure, I can speak on that. So we were the subject of a case competition hosted by UC Berkeley students last year in the marketing and business school there. So we participate in that way in terms of, helping them think about creating creative marketing approaches for MeliBio. And through that, we took the winners of that competition as interns. They just recently finished their internship here. So we reach out in that way. I'm also going to be participating in an event called the Beyond Academia Conference, which is at UC Berkeley, which I encourage Debbie and Aryé to also attend or participate in. And that's more geared towards graduate students and postdocs. And it was super valuable for me to learn more about industry and what people are doing through that organization. So those are a couple of the things we're doing and hope to do more.
Good. Aryé, do you want to go next?
I'd say in a similar way, we've engaged with different programs, have done either speaking, career fairs, and participated in classes, given some lectures, and those have always been fruitful, fulfilling conversations, even if it hasn't led directly to recruitment. I think that just awareness of what this space is generally, and having the kinds of discussions that get people to think about what's possible with the degree that they have, or with the sort of focus that they have that their that their academic career has taken so far, is a way to expand the network and get people to think about our space generally, and get people excited about it.
All right, then I guess I'll give the final, at least my our point of view. So I would say, here at Nature's Fine, right? We have some interns and internships. Our employees, actively, many of them actively, right, reach out to the alumni networks, right, at their universities. Either participating in career fairs, or giving presentations and such, and as well as participating actively on social media and connecting with students and universities that way. So I think it's really critical to continue to do that, right? So that as Aaron said, right, students recognize, right, there's something beyond academics. There's some big world problems and challenges, right, that this industry is trying to solve. And getting them excited about it is important.
Connect with ProteinX. That's another one. And maybe one question: what does it mean, the D406 that you have in your background? Is any meaning, or is just a decoration?
So that's a very good question. I do not know. It's in one of the
Okay.
rooms here in the office. I do not know the history of it. I'll have to find that out. I haven't asked that question.
Maybe it's the number of batches that you produce already. I don't know. I was
I have
wondering.
no idea. I'll
All
have
right.
to find out.
All right. Thank you, Anna, for bringing that question to, I think, the only one that we have, right? Or there is any other?
Yeah, that's the one that we got.
Okay, perfect. All right. So we respected the time. So I think that the session is over now.